It doesn't start with a bang, does it? The feeling of being lost. It begins as a whisper, a quiet hum of discontent beneath the surface of your busy days. For me, it started with the alarm clock. That sound used to signal a new day, a new opportunity. But slowly, it began to feel less like a gentle nudge and more like a prison bell. My routine was perfect on paper. Wake up, coffee, commute, work, gym, dinner, sleep. I was productive, efficient, a well-oiled machine. But somewhere along the way, the person operating the machine had checked out. I would sit in endless meetings, my mind a million miles away. I was doodling forgotten dreams on the corner of a notepad, spaceships, forests, impossible buildings. These were the ghosts of a kid who used to love creating things. The breaking point came on a Tuesday, a day no different from any other. I looked in the mirror, and for a split second, I didn't recognize the person staring back. The eyes were tired, the posture was slumped, and there was absolutely no light behind them. A single question echoed in the silent bathroom. Who are you, and what have you done with me? That was the moment the quiet hum became a deafening roar. So I did what everyone does. I decided to find my passion. I bought a yoga mat and twisted myself into painful positions, feeling more stressed than serene. I bought expensive flour to bake bread, only to create a collection of sad, dense bricks. I even tried learning to code, staring at a screen of symbols that felt like a foreign language. Each failure, each forced hobby, felt like another layer of concrete hardening around me. I was treating passion like a product I could buy, an item to check off a list. My search for passion was only making me feel more passionless. One rainy Sunday, I gave up. I put away the books, the gear, the expectations. I just sat by the window and watched the rain streak down the glass. And in that quiet, empty space, a new thought emerged. What if passion isn't something you find, but something you remember? What if you don't need to look outward, but inward? This changed everything. My goal was no longer to discover, but to rediscover. The first step was to simply listen. I bought a cheap notebook. I didn't ask, what's my purpose? That question is too big, too scary. Instead, I asked, what was I curious about today, even for just a second? Maybe it was an interesting bird I saw on my commute. I wrote it down. Maybe it was a song that made me feel something. I wrote it down. Maybe it was a memory of building forts as a kid. I wrote it all down. This wasn't a to-do list. It was an I'm alive list, a collection of small sparks. The second step was to go back further. I asked my parents for old boxes from the attic. Inside, I found a version of me I had completely forgotten. A kid who didn't care about being productive. A kid who just loved to draw, to build with Legos, to tell wild stories. He didn't do these things to be the best. He did them because they were fun. So my third step was to introduce play back into my life with zero expectations. I bought a cheap watercolor set, not to create a masterpiece, but to just watch the colors bleed into each other on the paper. I spent 5 minutes a day just doodling, letting my hand move without a plan. I followed the curiosity sparks from my journal. I bought a book about local birds. I started listening to the music that teenage me loved, and I felt that old fire again. There was no pressure, no goal. This wasn't for a new career, it was for me. Slowly, something magical began to happen. The world started to regain its color. I noticed the deep green of the leaves on my way to work. I noticed the complex flavors in my morning coffee. The small acts of rediscovery were teaching me how to be present again. After a few months, I looked back at my journal and I saw a pattern. The sparks weren't random. They all pointed to a common theme: storytelling, creating worlds, understanding systems. My passion wasn't one thing. It wasn't painter or writer. It was the thread that connected all those things. A deep love for building, exploring, and sharing ideas. And I could bring that into my life in countless ways. I started volunteering to design flyers for a local charity. I was using my forgotten love of drawing. I started a small blog to share what I was learning about birds. I was using my love for storytelling. My day job didn't change overnight. I didn't quit and run off to the woods. But I had changed. The machine had a soul again. The alarm clock still rings in the morning, but now it sounds different. It's not a prison bell, it's a starting gun. A signal that I have another day to follow a spark, to add a word to my story, to notice the color in the world. If you are where I was, standing in the gray fog, looking in the mirror at a stranger, know this. You are not broken, you are just dormant. The seeds of your passion are still inside you. You just need to create the right conditions for them to grow. So stop searching for that one big, blazing fire. Instead, look for the tiniest spark, a flicker of curiosity, a whisper of a memory. Pick it up, get a notebook, write it down. Give it 5 minutes of your day. Don't ask it to save you or become your new career. Just ask it to be interesting. Because rediscovery is a journey, not a destination. It's a practice, not a prize. You haven't lost your way. You're just on the scenic route home to yourself.